We've already looked at some pretty weird borders in previous episodes in this series, like panhandles that stretch out for hundreds of kilometers away from their parent country, or islands that change what country they belong to every 6 months. But there are still countless other strange borders that exist in the world, and in this episode, we're going to talk about a few of those. To begin with something a little ridiculous, let's head over to Turkey, and by that I mean this rectangle located inside of Syria that's 26 kilometers south of the Turkish border. You see, this rectangle that is official Turkish territory surrounded by Syria is the tomb of a man named Süleyman Shah, who was the grandfather of a guy named Osman I, who was the founder of the Ottoman Empire. He was buried in Syria, and for various geopolitical reasons, his tomb has remained as sovereign Turkish territory despite it, well, being located inside of Syria. This has gotten particularly awkward lately, with the Syrian civil war raging all around the tomb site. And in 2015, the Turkish government actually launched a military operation into Syria to recover the remains of the long-dead Süleyman Shah and rescue the few dozen Turkish soldiers that were defending the site. The Turks then moved the burial site just 180 meters south of the Turkish border so that they could keep a better eye on it. But the Turkish government insists that this move is only temporary and that the original burial site is still fully sovereign Turkish territory. Next, we're going to shift over just a little bit to this weird-looking blob, which is part of the United Arab Emirates, home to a small village of about 40 buildings. The village, however, is completely surrounded by territory that belongs to Oman, and this Omani territory is home to about 3,000 people. But even stranger, this Omani territory is further completely surrounded by the rest of the United Arab Emirates. Looking a bit further to the north, and we can also see another exclave of Oman called the Musandam Peninsula. This strange situation means that Emirati citizens living in this territory, called Nawra, have to cross through 2 different border checkpoints just to enter their own country. Once when they leave the UAE into Oman, and then once again when they leave Oman back into the UAE, and vice versa. On the flip side, it's possible for somebody in mainland Oman who travels to the other side of Oman at the Musandam Peninsula to go from being in Oman, to being in the UAE, to being back in Oman, to being back in the UAE, to being back in Oman again, to then be back in the UAE once again, and then finally arrive back inside of Oman, switching back and forth between the countries a total of 6 times. But even more complicated of a situation than this is, surprisingly, Cyprus, which if you ever take a glance at their flag, you would think that everything looks clean and orderly, but that's far from the case. There are actually 4 territorial entities on the island. The country that almost everybody recognizes that this not-so-accurate flag belongs to, called the Republic of Cyprus, the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus in the north that is recognized by only one other country, Turkey, 2 separate, fully sovereign British military bases here, and then finally a United Nations buffer zone that stretches across most of the island that is occupied by the UN peacekeeping forces. This strange situation has a very complicated history, but the very short version of it is that Cyprus became independent in 1960, but the British were allowed to hold on to some of the territory that became their current military bases. Cyprus almost became annexed by Greece, but Turkey invaded to stop that from happening, captured a bunch of territory, and then declared the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus as an independent country. And then the UN built a wall across the entire island to separate the 2 sides and to guarantee an awkward peace. And awkward it continues to be, as the Turkish Republic has a strange exclave over here that is completely walled off from the rest of the island. The eastern British military base has 3 enclaves of the Republic of Cyprus inside of it, which means that Cypriot citizens inside of them are totally surrounded by British territory and have to cross through several kilometers of an active foreign military base just to visit the rest of their own country. Finally, this large chunk of the Republic of Cyprus is totally cut off from the rest of the country since it's bordered by the UN buffer zone in the north and the UK military base to the west, which makes just taking a boat possibly the easiest way of getting to the other part of the country. Finally, for this video, we move to perhaps the most complicated series of borders in the entire world, this mess in Central Asia between Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan. Upon taking a closer look, we can see that there are 4 Uzbek enclaves located entirely inside of Kyrgyzstan, 1 Kyrgyz enclave inside of Uzbekistan, 2 Tajik enclaves located inside of Kyrgyzstan, and 1 more Tajik enclave located inside of Uzbekistan. The reason that these exist, in 2 words, is Joseph Stalin, and 2 of the enclaves are particularly awkward. The Kyrgyz enclave inside of Uzbekistan is home to over 1,000 people but has no post office, no government buildings, no banks, and the only employment opportunities are at a small general store. The enclave is totally surrounded by the Uzbek military, and even though many Kyrgyz citizens living inside of it have petitioned the Kyrgyzstan government to return to the mainland, the government has rejected allowing anybody inside to return out of fear of losing the incredibly valuable enclave to Uzbekistan. But perhaps the strangest and most insane border in the entire world that makes the least amount of sense is this territory called Sok, which is a fully sovereign territory of Uzbekistan that is completely surrounded on all sides by Kyrgyzstan, all the while 99% of the population inside of it are ethnic Tajiks. The world can be quite a mess in some places. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed what you just watched, I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel by clicking here. If you're interested in supporting the channel and voting on future video topics, then you can click here to visit my Patreon. You can watch some older videos of mine over here on the left, and I hope to see you again next Friday for another new video then.